Section 49 of the Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9, by Anonymous. Translated by Richard Francis Burton. Night 983. When it was the 983rd night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that the princess, daughter to the king of the stone city, thus continued, Verily, O Abdullah, my father had monies and hoards, such as eye never saw and of which ear never heard. He used to debel kings and do to death champions, and braves in battle and in the field of fight, so that the conquerors feared him and the Khosrons humbled themselves to him. For all this, he was a miscreant in creed ascribing to Allah partnership and adoring idols instead of the Lord of worship, and all his troops were of images fain in lieu of the all-knowing sovereign. One day of the days as he sat on the throne of his kingship, compassed about with the grandees of his realm, suddenly there came in to him a personage, whose face illumined the whole divan with its light. My father looked at him and saw him clad in a garb of green, tall of stature and with hands that reached beneath his knees. He was of reverend aspect and awesome, and the light shone from his face. Said he to my sire, O rebel, O idolater, how long wilt thou take pride in worshipping idols and abandoning the service of the all-knowing king? Say, I testify that there is no God but the God, and that Mohammed is his servant and his messenger. And embrace all Islam, thou and thy tribe, and put away from you the worship of idols, for they neither suffice man's need nor intercede. None is worshipful save Allah alone, who raised up the heavens without columns and spread out the earths like carpets in mercy to his creatures. Quoth my father, Who art thou, O man who rejectest the worship of idols, that thou sayest thus? Fearest thou not that the idols will be wroth with thee? He replied, The idols are stones. Their anger cannot prejudice me, nor their favor profit me. So do thou set in my presence thine idol which thou adorest, and bid all thy folk bring each his image. And when they are all present, do ye pray them to be wroth with me, and I will pray my Lord to be wroth with them, and ye shall descry the difference between the anger of the creature and that of the Creator. For your idols ye fashioned them yourselves, and the Satans clad themselves therewith as with clothing, and they it is who speak to you from within the bellies of the images, for your idols are made, and the Maker is my God to whom naught is impossible. And the true appear to you, do ye follow it, and if the false appear to you, do ye leave it. Cried they, Give us proof of thy God, that we may see it. And quoth he, Give me proof of your gods. So the king bade every one who worshipped his lord in image form to bring it, and all the armies brought their idols to the divan. Thus fared it with them, but as for me, I was sitting behind a curtain, whence I could look upon my father's divan, and I had an idol of emerald whose bigness was as the bigness of a son of Adam. My father demanded it, so I sent it to the divan, where they set it down beside that of my sire, which was of jacinth, whilst the wazir's idol was of diamond. As for those of the grandees and notables, some were of balas ruby, and some of carnelian, others of coral or Comorin aloes wood, and yet others of ebony or silver or gold, and each had his own idol, after the measure of his competence. Whilst the idols of the common soldiers and of the people were some of granite, some of wood, some of pottery, and some of mud. And all were various hues, yellows and red, green, black, and white. Then said the personage to my sire, Pray your idol and these idols to be wroth with me. So they aligned the idols in a divan, setting my father's idol on a chair of gold at the upper end, with mine by its side, and ranking the others each according to the condition of him who owned it and worshipped it. Then my father arose, and prostrating himself to his own idol, said to it, O my God, thou art the bountiful Lord, nor is there any among the idols a greater than thyself. Thou knowest that this person cometh to me, attacking thy divinity and making mock of thee. Yea, he avoucheth that he hath a God stronger than thou, and ordereth us leave adorning thee and adore his God. So be thou wrath with him, O my God. And he went on to supplicate the idol, but the idol returned him no reply, neither bespoke him with aught of speech. Whereupon quoth he, O my God, this is not of thy wont, for thou usedst to answer me, when I addressed thee. How cometh it that I see thee silent and speaking not? Art thou unheeding or asleep? Awake, succour me and speak to me. And he shook it with his hand, but it spake not, neither stirred from its stead. Thereupon quoth the personage, What aileth thine idol that it speaketh not? And quoth the king, Methinks he is absent-minded or asleep. Exclaimed the other, O enemy of Allah, how canst thou worship a God that speaketh not, nor availeth unto aught, and not worship my God, who to prayers deigns assent, and who is ever present and never absent, neither unheeding nor sleeping, whom conjecture may not wean, who seeth and is not seen, and who over all things terrene is omnipotent. Thy God is powerless, and cannot guard itself from harm. And indeed a stone Satan had clothed himself therewith, as with a coat that he might debauch thee and delude thee. But now hath its devil departed. So do thou worship Allah, and testify that there is no God but He, and that none is worshipful, nor worship worth but Himself. Neither is there any good but His good. As for this thy God, it cannot ward off hurt from it, so how shall it ward off harm from thee? See with thine own eyes its impotence. So saying, he went up to the idol, and dealt it a cuff on the neck, that it fell to the ground. Whereupon the king waxed wroth, and cried to the bystanders, This forward atheist hath smitten my God, slay him. So they would have arisen to smite him, but none of them could stir from his place. Then he propounded to them al-Islam, but they refused to become Muslims, and he said, I will show you the wrath of my Lord. Quoth they, Let us see it. So he spread out his hands and said, O my God and my Lord, thou art my stay and my hope. Answer thou my prayer against these lewd folk, who eat of thy good and worship other gods. O thou the truth, O thou of all might, O creator of day and night, I beseech thee to turn these people into stones, for thou art the puissant, nor is aught impossible to thee, and thou over all things are omnipotent. And Allah transformed the people of this city into stones. But as for me, when I saw the manifest proof of his deity, I submitted myself to him, and was saved from that which befell the rest. Then the personage drew near me, and said, Felicity was foreordained of Allah to thee, and in this a purpose had He. And he went on to instruct me, and I took unto him the oath and covenant. I was then 7 years of age, and am now 30 years old. Then I said to him, O my Lord, all that is in the city and all its citizens are become stones by thine effectual prayer, and I am saved, for that I embraced al-Islam at thy hands. Wherefore thou art become my sheikh. So do thou tell me thy name, and succour me with thy security, and provide me with provision whereon I may subsist. Quoth he, My name is Abu al-Abbas al-Khizr. And he planted me a pomegranate tree, which forthright grew up and foliaged, flowered and fruited, and bare one pomegranate. Whereupon quoth he, Eat of that wherewith Allah the Almighty provideth thee, and worship Him with the worship which is His due. Then he taught me the tenets of al-Islam and the canons of prayer and the way of worship, together with the recital of the Quran, and I have now worshipped Allah in this place 23 years. Each day the tree yieldeth me a pomegranate which I eat, and it sustaineth me from tide to tide. And every Friday, Al-Khizr, on whom be peace, cometh to me, and 'tis he who acquainted me with thy name, and gave me the glad tidings of thy soon coming hither, saying to me, when he shall come to thee, entreat him with honour, and obey his bidding, and gainsay him not, but be thou to him wife, and he shall be to thee man, and wend with him whitherso he will. So, when I saw thee, I knew thee, and such is the story of this city, and of all its people, and the peace. Then she showed me the pomegranate tree, whereon was one granado, which she took, and eating one half thereof herself, gave me the other to eat, and never did I taste aught sweeter, or more savoury, or more satisfying than that pomegranate. After this, I said to her, Art thou content, even as the Shaykh al-Khizr charged thee, to be my wife and take me to mate? And art thou ready to go with me to my own country, and abide with me in the city of Bassorah? She replied, Yes, Inshallah, an it please Almighty Allah. I hearken to thy word and obey thy hest without gainsaying. Then I made a binding covenant with her, and she carried me into her father's treasury, whence we took what we could carry, and going forth that city, walked on till we came to my brothers, whom I found searching for me. They asked, Where hast thou been? Indeed, thou hast tarried long from us, and our hearts were troubled for thee. And the captain of the ship said to me, O merchant Abdullah, the wind hath been fair for us this great while, and thou hast hindered us from setting sail. And I answered, There is no harm in that. Oft-time slow is sure, and my absence hath wrought us naught but advantage, for indeed there hath betided me therein the attainment of our hopes, and God-gifted is he who said, I weet not, whenas to a land I fare, in quest of good, what I shall there obtain, or gain I fare with sole desire to seek, or loss that seeketh me when I seek gain. Then said I to them, See what hath fallen to me in this mine absence, and displayed to them all that was with me of treasures, and told them what I had beheld in the city of stone, adding, Had ye hearkened to me and gone with me, ye had gotten of these things great gain. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. End of Night 983. Night 984. When it was the 984th night, she continued, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Abdullah bin Fasil said to his shipmates and to his two brothers, Had ye gone with me, ye had gotten of these things great gain. But they said, By Allah, had we gone, we had not dared to go in to the king of the city. Then I said to my brothers, No harm shall befall you, for that which I have will suffice us all, and this is our lot. So I divided my booty into 4 parts according to our number, and gave one to each of my brothers and to the captain, taking the 4th for myself, setting aside somewhat for the servants and sailors, who rejoiced and blessed me, and all were content with what I gave them, save my brothers who changed countenance and rolled their eyes. I perceived that lust of lucre had gotten hold of them both, so I said to them, O my brothers, methinketh what I have given you doth not satisfy you, but we are brothers and there is no difference between us. My good and yours are one and the same thing, and if I die none will inherit of me but you. And I went on to soothe them. Then I bore the princess on board the galleon and lodged her in the cabin, where I sent her somewhat to eat, and we sat talking, I and my brothers. Said they, O our brother, what wilt thou do with that damsel of surpassing beauty? And I replied, I mean to contract marriage with her, as soon as I reach Bassorah and make a splendid wedding and go in to her there. Exclaimed one of them, O my brother, verily, this young lady excelleth in beauty and loveliness, and the love of her is fallen on my heart, wherefore I desire that thou give her to me, and I will espouse her. And the other cried, I too desire this, give her to me, that I may espouse her. O my brothers, answered I, indeed she took of me an oath and a covenant that I would marry her myself, so if I give her to one of you, I shall be false to my oath and to the covenant between me and her, and haply she will be broken hearted, for she came not with me but on condition that I marry her. So how can I wed her to other than myself? As for your both loving her, I love her more than you twain, for she is my treasure trove, and as for my giving her to one of you, that is a thing which may not be. But if we reach Bassorah in safety, I will look you out 2 girls of the best of the damsels of Bassorah, and demand them for you in marriage, and pay the dower of my own monies, and make one wedding, and we will all 3 go into our brides on the same night. But leave ye this damsel, for she is of my portion. They held their peace, and I thought they were content with that which I had said. Then we fared onwards for Bassorah, and every day I sent her meat and drink, but she came not forth of the cabin, whilst I slept between my brothers on deck. We sailed thus 40 days, till we sighted Bassorah city, and rejoiced that we were come near it. Now I trusted in my brothers, and was at my ease with them, for none knoweth the hidden future save Allah the Most High. So I lay down to sleep that night. But, as I abode drowned in slumber, I suddenly found myself caught up by these my brothers, one seizing me by the legs and the other by the arms, for they had taken counsel together to drown me in the sea for the sake of the damsel. When I saw myself in their hands, I said to them, O my brothers, why do ye this with me? And they replied, Ill-bred that thou art, wilt thou barter our affection for a girl? We will cast thee into the sea because of this. So saying, they threw me overboard. Here Abdullah turned to the dogs and said to them, Is this that I have said true, O my brothers, or not? And they bowed their heads and fell a-whining, as if confirming his speech, whereat the Caliph wondered. Then Abdullah resumed, O Commander of the Faithful, when they threw me into the sea, I sank to the bottom, but the water bore me up again to the surface, and before I could think, behold, a great bird, the bigness of a man, swooped down upon me and snatching me up, flew up with me into upper air. I fainted, and when I opened my eyes, I found myself in a strong pillared place, a high-builded palace, adorned with magnificent paintings and pendants of gems of all shapes and hues. Therein were damsels standing with their hands crossed over their breasts, and behold in their midst was a lady seated on a throne of red gold, set with pearls and gems, and clad in apparel whereon no mortal might open his eyes, for the lustre of the jewels wherewith they were decked. About her waist she wore a girdle of jewels no money could pay their worth, and on her head a threefold tiara dazing thought and wit and dazzling heart and sight. Then the bird which had carried me thither shook and became a young lady bright as sun-raying light. I fixed my eyes on her, and behold, it was she whom I had seen in snake form on the mountain, and had rescued from the dragon which had bound his tail around her. Then said to her the lady who sat upon the throne, Why hast thou brought hither this mortal? And she replied, O my mother, this is he who was the means of veiling my honor among the maidens of the Jinn. Then quoth she to me, Knowest thou who I am? And quoth I, No. Said she, I am she who was on such a mountain, where the black dragon strave with me, and would have forced my honor, but thou slewest him. And I said, I saw but a white snake with the dragon. She rejoined, 'Tis I who was the white snake, but I am the daughter of the Red King, sovereign of the Jann, and my name is Sa'idah. She who sitteth there is my mother, and her name is Mubarakah, wife of the Red King. The black dragon who attacked me and would have done away my honor was Wazir to the Black King, Darful by name, and he was foul of favor. It chanced that he saw me and fell in love with me, so he sought me in marriage of my sire, who sent to him to say, Who art thou, O scum of Wazirs, that thou shouldst wed with kings' daughters? Whereupon he was wroth and sware an oath that he would assuredly do away my honor to spite my father. Then he fell to tracking my steps and following me whithersoever I went, designing to ravish me. Wherefore there befell between him and my parent mighty fierce wars and bloody jars, but my sire could not prevail against him, for that he was fierce as fraudful, and as often as my father pressed hard upon him and seemed like to conquer, he would not escape from him, till my sire was at his wits' end. Every day I was forced to take new form and hue, for as often as I assumed a shape, he would assume its contrary, and to whatsoever land I fled, he would snuff my fragrance and follow me thither, so that I suffered sore affliction of him. At last I took the form of a snake and betook myself to the mountain where thou sawest me. Whereupon he changed himself to a dragon and pursued me, till I fell into his hands, when he strove with me and I struggled with him, till he wearied me and mounted me, meaning to have his lustful will of me. But thou camest and smotest him with the stone and slewest him. Then I returned to my own shape and showed myself to thee, saying, I am indebted to thee for a service such as is not lost save with the son of adultery. So when I saw thy brothers do with thee this treachery and throw thee into the sea, I hastened to thee and saved thee from destruction, and now honor is due to thee from my mother and father. Then she said to the queen, O my mother, do thou honor him as deserveth he who saved my virtue. So the queen said to me, Welcome, O mortal! Indeed, thou hast done us a kindly deed which meriteth honor. Presently she ordered me a treasure suit, worth a mint of money, and store of gems and precious stones, and said, Take him and carry him in to the king. Accordingly they carried me into the king in his divan, where I found him seated on his throne, with his merits and guards before him. And when I saw him, my sight was blent for that which was upon him of jewels. But when he saw me, he rose to his feet, and all his officers rose also, to do him worship. Then he saluted me and welcomed me and entreated me with the utmost honor, and gave me of that which was with him of good things. After which he said to some of his followers, Take him and carry him back to my daughter, that she may restore him to the place whence she brought him. So they carried me back to the lady Saida, who took me up and flew away with me and my treasures. On this wise fared it with me and the princess. But as regards the captain of the galleon, he was aroused by the splash of my fall, when my brothers cast me into the sea, and said, What is that which hath fallen overboard? Whereupon my brothers fell to weeping and beating of breasts, and replied, Alas, for our brother's loss! He thought to do his need over the ship's side, and fell into the water. Then they laid their hands on my good, but there befell dispute between them because of the damsel, each saying, None shall have her but I. And they abode jangling and wrangling each with other, and remembered not their brother nor his drowning, and their mourning for him ceased. As they were thus, behold Saida alighted with me in the midst of the galleon. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. End of night 984. Section 50 of the Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9, by Anonymous. Translated by Richard Francis Burton. Night 985. When it was the 985th night, she pursued, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Abdullah bin Fazil continued, As they were thus, behold, Saida alighted with me in the midst of the galleon, and when my brothers saw me, they embraced me and rejoiced in me, saying, O our brother, how hast thou fared in that which befell thee? Indeed our hearts have been occupied with thee. Quoth Saida, Had ye any heart yearnings for him, or had ye loved him, ye had not cast him into the sea. But choose ye now what death ye will die. Then she seized on them and would have slain them. But they cried out, saying, In thy safeguard, O our brother! Thereupon I interceded, and said to her, I claim of thine honor not to kill my brothers. Quoth she, There was no help but that I slay them, for they are traitors. But I ceased not to speak her fair and conciliate her till she said, To content thee, I will not kill them, but I will enchant them. So saying, she brought out a cup, and filling it with sea water, pronounced over it words that might not be understood. Then saying, Quit this human shape for the shape of a dog, she sprinkled them with water, and immediately they were transmute into dogs, as thou seest them, O Vicar of Allah. Whereupon he turned to the dogs and said to them, Have I spoken the truth, O my brothers? And they bowed their heads, as they would say, Thou hast spoken sooth. At this he continued, Then she said to those who were in the galleon, Know ye that Abdullah bin Fazil here present is become my brother, and I shall visit him once or twice every day. So whoso of you crosseth him or gainsayeth his bidding, or doth him hurt with hand or tongue, I will do with him even as I have done with these two traitors, and bespell him to a dog, and he shall end his days in that form, nor shall he find deliverance. And they all said to her, O our lady, we are his slaves and his servants every one of us, and will not disobey him in aught. Moreover, she said to me, When thou comest to Bassorah, examine all thy property, and if there lack aught thereof, tell me, and I will bring it to thee, in whose hands and in what place soever it may be, and will change him who took it into a dog. When thou hast magazined thy goods, clap a collar of wood on the neck of each of these two traitors, and tie them to the leg of a couch, and shut them up by themselves. Moreover, every night at midnight, do thou go down to them, and beat each of them about till he swoon away. And if thou suffer a single night to pass without beating them, I will come to thee and drub thee a sound drubbing, after which I will drub them. And I answered, To hear is to obey. Then said she, Tie them up with ropes till thou come to Bassorah. So I tied a rope about each dog's neck and lashed them to the mast, and she went her way. On the morrow we entered Bassorah, and the merchants came out to meet me and saluted me, and no one of them inquired about my brothers. But they looked at the dogs and said to me, Ho, such and such, what wilt thou do with these two dogs thou hast brought with thee? Quoth I reared them on this voyage, and have brought them home with me. And they laughed at them, knowing not that they were my brothers. When I reached my house, I put the twain in a closet and busied myself all that night with the unpacking and disposition of the bales of stuffs and jewels. Moreover, the merchants were with me, being minded to offer me the salam. Wherefore I was occupied with them and forgot to beat the dogs or chain them up. Then, without doing them aught of hurt, I lay down to sleep, but suddenly and unexpectedly there came to me the Red King's daughter Sa'idah, and said to me, Did I not bid thee clap chains on their necks and give each of them a bout of beating? So saying, she seized me, and pulling out a whip, flogged me till I fainted away, after which she went to the place where my brothers were, and with the same scourge beat them both till they came nigh upon death. Then said she to me, Beat each of them a like bout every night, and if thou let a night pass without doing this, I will beat thee. And I replied, O my lady, tomorrow I will put chains on their necks, and next night I will beat them, nor will I leave them one night unbeaten. And she charged me strictly to beat them and disappeared. When the morning morrowed, it being no light matter for me to put a fetter of iron on their necks, I went to a goldsmith and bade him make them collars and chains of gold. He did this, and I put the collars on their necks and chained them up, as she bade me. And next time I beat them both in mine own despite. This befell in the Caliphate of Al-Mahdi, third of the sons of Al-Abbas, and I commended myself to him by sending him presents, so he invested me with the government and made me viceroy of Bassorah. On this wise I abode some time, and after a while I said to myself, Haply her wrath is grown cool, and left them a night unbeaten, whereupon she came to me and beat me a bout, whose burning I shall never forget long as I live. So from that time to this, I have never left them a single night unbeaten during the reign of Al-Mahdi, And when he deceased and thou camest to the succession, thou sentest to me, confirming me in the government of Bassorah. These 12 years past have I beaten them every night in mine own despite, and after I have beaten them, I excuse myself to them, and comfort them, and give them to eat and drink. And they have remained shut up, nor did any of the creatures of Allah know of them, till thou sentest to me Abu Ishaq the boon companion, on account of the tribute, and he discovered my secret, and returning to thee, acquainted thee therewith. Then thou sentest him back to fetch me and them. So I answered with hearkening and obedience, and brought them before thee, whereupon thou questionedst me, and I told thee the truth of the case. And this is my history. The Caliph marveled at the case of the 2 dogs, and said to Abdullah, Hast thou at this present forgiven thy 2 brothers the wrong they did thee, yea or nay? He replied, O my lord, may Allah forgive them and acquit them of responsibility in this world and the next. Indeed, 'tis I who stand in need of their forgiveness, for that these 12 years past I have beaten them a grievous bout every night. Rejoined the Caliph, O Abdullah, Inshallah, I will endeavor for their release and that they may become men again, as they were before, and I will make peace between thee and them. So shall you live the rest of your lives as brothers loving one another, and like as thou hast forgiven them, so shall they forgive thee. But now take them and go down with them to thy lodging, and this night beat them not, and tomorrow there shall be naught save weal. Quoth Abdullah, O my lord, as thy head liveth, if I leave them one night unbeaten, Sa'idah will come to me and beat me, and I have no body to brook beating. Quoth the Caliph, Fear not, for I will give thee a writing under my hand. And she come to thee, do thou give her the paper, and if, when she has read it, she spare thee, the favour will be hers. But if she obey not my bidding, commit thy business to Allah and let her beat thee about, and suppose that thou hast forgotten to beat them for one night, and that she beateth thee because of that. And if it all fall out thus, and she thwart me, as sure as I am commander of the faithful, I will be even with her. Then he wrote her a letter on a piece of paper, 2 fingers broad, and sealing it with his signet ring, gave it to Abdullah, saying, O Abdullah, if Sa'idah come, say to her, The Caliph, king of mankind, hath commanded me to leave beating them, and had written me this letter for thee. And he saluted thee with the salam. Then give her the warrant, and fear no harm. After which he exacted of him an oath and a solemn pledge that he would not beat them. So Abdullah took the dogs and carried them to his lodging, saying to himself, I wonder what the Caliph will do with the daughter of the sovereign of the Jinn, if she cross him and trounce me tonight. But I will bear with a bout of beating for once, and leave my brothers at rest this night, though for their sake I suffer torture. Then he bethought himself a while, and his reason said to him, Did not the Caliph rely on some great support, he had never forbidden me from beating them. So he entered his lodging and doffed the collars from the dogs' necks, saying, I put my trust in Allah, and fell to comforting them, and saying, No harm shall befall you, for the Caliph, 5th of the sons of Al-Abbas, hath pledged himself for your deliverance, and I have forgiven you. And it please Allah the Most High, the time is come, and ye shall be delivered this blessed night. So rejoice ye in the prospect of peace and gladness. When they heard these words, they fell to whining with the whining of dogs. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased to say her permitted say. End of night 985. Night 986. When it was the 986th night, she resumed, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Abdullah bin Fazil said to his brothers, Rejoice ye in the prospect of comfort and gladness. And when they heard his words, they fell to whining with the whining of dogs, and rubbed their jowls against his feet, as if blessing him and humbling themselves before him. He mourned over them, and took to stroking their backs till supper time. And when they set on the trays, he bade the dogs sit. So they sat down and ate with him from the tray, whilst his officers stood gaping and marvelling at his eating with dogs, and all said, Is he mad, or are his wits gone wrong? How can the viceroy of Bassorah city, He who is greater than a wazir eat with dogs. Knoweth he not that the dog is unclean? And they stared at the dogs, as they ate with him as servants eat with their lords, knowing not that they were his brothers. Nor did they cease staring at them, till they had made an end of eating, when Abdullah washed his hands, and the dogs also put out their paws and washed. Whereupon all who were present began to laugh at them and to marvel, saying one to other, "Never in our lives saw we dogs eat and wash their paws after eating." Then the dogs sat down on the divans beside Abdullah, nor dared any ask him of this, and thus the case lasted till midnight, when he dismissed the attendants and lay down to sleep and the dogs with him, each on a couch, whereupon the servants said to one another, "Verily, he hath lain down to sleep and the two dogs are lying with him." Quoth another, "Since he hath eaten with the dogs from the same tray, there is no harm in their sleeping with him, and this is naught save the fashion of madmen." Moreover, they ate not anything of the food which remained in the tray, saying, "'Tis unclean." Such was their case. But as for Abdullah, ere he could think, the earth clave asunder and out rose Sa'idah, who said to him, "O Abdullah, why hast thou not beaten them this night, and why hast thou undone the collars from their necks? Hast thou acted on this wise perversely and in mockery of my commandment? But I will at once beat thee and spell thee into a dog like them." He replied, "O my lady, I conjure thee by the graving upon the seal ring of Solomon Davidson, on the twain be peace, have patience with me till I tell thee my cause, and after do with me what thou wilt." Quoth she, "Say on." And quoth he, "The reason of my not punishing them is only this: the King of mankind, the Commander of the Faithful, the Caliph Harun al-Rashid, ordered me not to beat them this night and took of me oaths and covenants to that effect. And he saluted thee with a salam and hath committed to me a mandate under his own hand, which he bade me give thee. So I obeyed his order, for to obey the Commander of the Faithful is obligatory, and here is the mandate. Take it and read it, and after work thy will." She replied, "Hither with it." So he gave her the letter and she opened it and read as follows: "In the name of Allah, the Compassionating, the Compassionate, from the King of mankind, Harun al-Rashid, to the daughter of the Red King Sa'idah." But after, "Verily, this man hath forgiven his brothers and hath waived his claim against them, and we have enjoined them to reconciliation. Now when reconciliation ruleth, retribution is remitted, and if you of the Jinn contradict us in our commandments, we will contrary you in yours and traverse your ordinances. But an ye obey our bidding and further our orders, we will indeed do the like with yours. Wherefore I bid thee hurt them no hurt, and if thou believe in Allah and in His Apostle, it behoveth thee to obey and us to command. So an thou spare them, I will requite thee with that whereto my Lord shall enable me, and the token of obedience is that thou remove thine enchantment from these two men, so they may become before me tomorrow free. But an thou release them not, I will release them in thy despite, by the aid of Almighty Allah." When she had read the letter, she said, "O Abdullah, I will do naught till I go to my sire and show him the mandate of the monarch of mankind, and return to thee with the answer in haste." So saying, she signed with her hand to the earth, which clave open and she disappeared therein, whilst Abdullah's heart was like to fly for joy, and he said, "Allah advance the Commander of the Faithful." As for Sa'idah, she went in to her father, and acquainting him with that which had passed, gave him the Caliph's letter, which he kissed and laid on his head. Then he read it and understanding its contents, said, "O my daughter, verily, the ordinance of the monarch of mankind obligeth us and his commandments are effectual over us, nor can we disobey them. So go thou and release the two men forthwith, and say to them, Ye are freed by the intercession of the monarch of mankind. For should he be wroth with us, he would destroy us to the last of us. So do not thou impose on us that which we are unable." Quoth she, "O my father, if the monarch of mankind were wroth with us, what could he do with us?" And quoth her sire, He hath power over us for several reasons. In the first place, he is a man and hath thus preeminence over us. Secondly, he is the vicar of Allah. And thirdly, he is constant in praying the dawn prayer of 2 bows. Therefore were all the tribes of the Jinn assembled together against him from the 7 worlds, they could do him no hurt. But he, should he be wroth with us, would pray the dawn prayer of 2 bows, and cry out upon us one cry, when we should all present ourselves before him obediently, and be before him as sheep before the butcher. If he would, he could command us to quit our abiding places for a desert country wherein we might not endure to sojourn. And if he desired to destroy us, he would bid us destroy ourselves, whereupon we should destroy one another. Wherefore we may not disobey his bidding, for if we did this, he would consume us with fire, nor could we flee from before him to any asylum. Thus is it with every true believer who is persistent in praying the dawn prayer of 2 bows. His commandment is effectual over us. So be not thou the means of our destruction, because of 2 mortals, but go forthright and release them, ere the anger of the commander of the faithful fall upon us. So she returned to Abdullah and acquainted him with her father's words, saying, Kiss for us the hands of the Prince of True Believers, and seek his approval for us. Then she brought out the tassi, and filling it with water, conjured over it, and uttered words which might not be understood. After which she sprinkled the dogs with the water, saying, Quit the form of dogs, and return to the shape of men. Whereupon they became men as before, and the spell of the enchantment was loosed from them. Quoth they, I testify that there is no God but the God, and I testify that Mohammed is the apostle of God. Then they fell on their brother's feet and hands, kissing them and beseeching his forgiveness. But he said, Do ye forgive me? And they both repented with sincere repentance, saying, Verily, the damned devil lured us and covetise deluded us, but our Lord hath requited us after our deserts, and forgiveness is of the signs of the noble. And they went on to supplicate their brother, and weep and profess repentance for that which had befallen him from them. Then quoth he to them, What did ye with my wife, whom I brought from the city of stone? Quoth they, When Satan tempted us, and we cast thee into the sea, there arose strife between us, each saying, I will have her to wife. Now when she heard these words and beheld our contention, she knew that we had thrown thee into the sea. So she came up from the cabin and said to us, Contend not because of me, for I will not belong to either of you. My husband is gone into the sea, and I will follow him. So saying, she cast herself overboard and died. Exclaimed Abdullah, In very sooth she died a martyr. But there is no majesty and there is no might save in Allah, the glorious, the great. Then he wept for her with sore weeping, and said to his brothers, It was not well of you to do this deed and bereave me of my wife. They answered, Indeed, we have sinned, but our Lord hath requited us our misdeed, and this was a thing which Allah decreed unto us, ere he created us. And he accepted their excuse. But Sa'idah said to him, Have they done all these things to thee, and wilt thou forgive them? He replied, O my sister, whoso hath power and spareth, for Allah's reward he prepareth. Then said she, Be on thy guard against them, for they are traitors. And farewelled him and fared forth. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day, and ceased saying her permitted say. End of night 986. Section 51 of the Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9, by Anonymous. Translated by Richard Francis Burton. Night 987. When it was the 987th night, she said, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Abdullah, when Sa'idah warned him and blessed him and went her ways, passed the rest of the night with his brothers, and on the morrow he sent them to the Hammam and clad each of them, on his coming forth, in a suit worth a hoard of money. Then he called for the tray of food and they set it before him and he ate, he and his brothers. When his attendants saw the twain and knew them for his brothers, they saluted them and said to him, "O our lord, Allah give thee joy of thy reunion with thy dear brothers! Where have they been this while?" He replied, "It was they whom ye saw in the guise of dogs. Praise be to Allah who hath delivered them from prison and grievous torment." Then he carried them to the divan of the Caliph and kissing ground before Al Rashid, wished him continuance of honour and fortune and surcease of evil and enmity. Quoth the Caliph, "Welcome, O Emir Abdullah! Tell me, what hath befallen thee?" And quoth he, "O Commander of the Faithful, whose power Allah increase! When I carried my brothers home to my lodging, my heart was at rest concerning them, because thou hadst pledged thyself to their release, and I said in myself, Kings fail not to attain aught for which they strain, inasmuch as the divine favour aideth them. So I took off the collars from their necks, putting my trust in Allah, and ate with them from the same tray, which when my suite saw, they made light of my wit and said to each other, 'He is surely mad! How can the governor of Bassorah, who is greater than the wazir, eat with dogs?' Then they threw away what was in the tray, saying, 'We will not eat the dogs' orts.' And they went on to befool my reason, whilst I heard their words, but returned them no reply because of their unknowing that the dogs were my brothers. When the hour of sleep came, I sent them away and addressed myself to sleep. But ere I was ware, the earth clave in sunder and out came Sa'idah, the Red King's daughter, and raged against me, with eyes like fire." And he went on to relate to the Caliph all what had passed between him and her father, and how she had transmute his brothers from canine to human form, adding, "And here they are before thee, O Commander of the Faithful." The Caliph looked at them and seeing two young men like moons, said, "Allah requite thee for me with good, O Abdullah, for that thou hast acquainted me with an advantage I knew not. Henceforth, Inshallah, I will never leave to pray these two bow orisons before the breaking of the dawn, what while I live." Then he reproved Abdullah's brothers for their past transgressions against him, and they excused themselves before the Caliph, who said, "Join hands, and forgive one another, and Allah pardon what is past." Upon which he turned to Abdullah and said to him, "O Abdullah, make thy brothers thine assistants, and be careful of them." Then he charged them to be obedient to their brother, and bade them to return to Bassorah after he had bestowed on them abundant largesse. So they went down from the Caliph's divan, whilst he rejoiced in this advantage he had obtained by the action aforesaid, to wit, persistence in praying 2 inclinations before dawn, and exclaimed, "He spake truth who said, 'The misfortune of one tribe fortuneth another tribe.'" On this wise befell it to them from the Caliph. But as regards Abdullah, he left Baghdad carrying with him his brothers in all honour and dignity and increase of quality, and fared on till they drew near Bassorah, when the notables and chief men of the place came out to meet them, and after decorating the city, brought them thereinto with a procession which had not its match, and all the folk shouted out blessings on Abdullah, as he scattered amongst them silver and gold. None, however, took heed to his brothers, wherefore jealousy and envy entered their hearts, for all he entreated them tenderly as one tenders an ophthalmic eye; but the more he cherished them, the more they redoubled in hatred and envy of him. And indeed it is said on the subject, "I'd win good will of every one, but whoso envies me Will not be won on any wise and make mine office hard. How gain degree of envious wight who coveted my good, when naught will satisfy him save to see my good go marred?" Then he gave each a concubine that had not her like, and eunuchs and servants and slaves white and black, of each kind 40. He also gave each of them 50 steeds, all thoroughbreds, and they got them guards and followers, and he assigned to them revenues and appointed them solde and stipends, and made them his assistants, saying to them, "O my brothers, I and you are equal, and there is no distinction between me and you twain." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. End of Night 987. Night 988. When it was the 988th night, she continued, It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that Abdullah assigned stipends to his brothers and made them his assistants, saying, O my brothers, I and you are equal, and there is no distinction between me and you twain, and after Allah and the Caliph the commandment is mine and yours. So rule you at Bassorah in my absence and in my presence, and your commandments shall be effectual. But look that ye fear Allah in your ordinances and beware of oppression, which if it endure depopulateth, and apply yourself to justice, for justice, if it be prolonged, peoples the land. Oppress not the true believers, or they will curse you, and ill report of you will reach the Caliph, wherefore dishonor will betide both me and you. Go not therefore about to violence any, but whatso ye greed for of the goods of the folk, take it from my goods, over and above that whereof ye have need. For 'tis not unknown to you what is handed down in the Quran of prohibition verses on the subject of oppression, and Allah gifted is he who said these couplets. Oppression ambusheth in sprite of man, whom naught withholdeth save the lack of might. The sage shall ne'er apply his wits to aught, until befitting time direct his sight. The tongue of wisdom woneth in the heart, and in his mouth the tongue of foolish wight. Who at occasion's call lacks power to rise, is slain by feeblest who would glut his spite. A man may hide his blood and breed, but I, his deeds on darkest hiddens cast a light. Wights of ill strain with ancestry as vile, have lips which never spake one word aright. And who committeth case to hands of fool, in folly proveth self as fond and light. And who his secret tells to folk at large, shall rouse his foes to work him worse despite. Suffice the generous what regards his lot, nor meddles he with aught regards him not. And he went on to admonish his brothers and bid them to equity and forbid them from tyranny, doubting not but they would love him the better for his boon of good counsel, and he relied upon them and honored them with the utmost honor, but notwithstanding all his generosity to them, they only waxed in envy and hatred of him, till, one day, the two being together alone, quoth Nasir to Mansur, O my brother, how long shall we be mere subjects of our brother Abdullah, and he in this estate of lordship and worship? After being a merchant, he is become an emir, and from being little he is grown great. But we grow not great, nor is there aught of respect or degree left us. For, behold, he laugheth at us and maketh us his assistants. What is the meaning of this? Is it not that we are his servants and under his subjection? But long as he abideth in good case, our rank will never be raised, nor shall we be aught of repute. Wherefore we shall not fulfill our wish, except we slay him, and win to his wealth, nor will it be possible to get his gear save after his death. So when we have slain him, we shall become lords and will take all that is in his treasuries of gems and things of price, and divide them between us. Then we will send the Caliph a present and demand of him the government of Cufa, and thou shalt be governor of Cufa and I of Bassorah. Thus each of us shall have formal estate and condition, but we shall never effect this, except we put him out of the world. Answered Mansur, Thou sayest sooth, but how shall we do to kill him? Quoth Nasir, We will make an entertainment in the house of one of us and invite him thereto, and serve him with the uttermost service. Then we will sit through the night with him in talk and tell him tales and jests and rare stories, till his heart melteth, with sitting up when we will spread him a bed, that he may lie down to sleep. When he is asleep, we will kneel upon him and throttle him and throw him into the river, and on the morrow we will say, His sister the Jinniyah came to him, as he sat chatting with us, and said to him, O thou scum of mankind! Who art thou that thou shouldst complain of me to the Commander of the Faithful? Deemest thou that we dread him? As he is a king,
So we too are kings, and if he mend not his manners in our regard, we will do him die by the foulest of deaths. But meantime I will slay thee, that we may see what the hand of the prince of true believers availeth to do." So saying, she caught him up and clave the earth and disappeared with him, which when we saw, we swooned away. Then we revived and we reck not what is become of him. And saying this, we will send to the Caliph and tell him the case, and he will invest us with the government in his room. After a while we will send him a sumptuous present and seek of him the government of Cufa, and one of us shall abide in Bassorah and the other in Cufa. So shall the land be pleasant to us, and we will be down upon the true believers and win our wishes." And quoth Mansur, "Thou counsellest well, O my brother." And they agreed upon the murder. So Nasir made an entertainment and said to Abdullah, "O my brother, verily I am thy brother, and I would have thee hearten my heart, thou and my brother Mansur, and eat of my banquet in my house, so I may boast of thee and that it may be said, the Emir Abdullah hath eaten of his brother Nasir's guest meal, when my heart will be solaced by this best of boons." Abdullah replied, "So be it, O my brother. There is no distinction between me and thee, and thy house is my house. But since thou invitest me, none refuseth hospitality save the churl." Then he turned to Mansur and said to him, "Wilt thou go with me to thy brother Nasir's house, and we will eat of his feast and heal his heart?" Replied Mansur, "As thy head liveth, O my brother, I will not go with thee, unless thou swear to me that, after thou comest forth of brother Nasir's house, thou wilt enter my house and eat of my banquet. Is Nasir thy brother, and am not I thy brother? So, even as thou heartenest his heart, do thou hearten mine." Answered Abdullah, "There is no harm in that. With love and gladly gree. When I come out of Nasir's house, I will enter thine, for thou art my brother even as he." So he kissed his hand and going forth of the divan, made ready his feast. On the morrow, Abdullah took horse and repaired, with his brother Mansur and a company of his officers, to Nasir's house, where they sat down, he and Mansur and his many. Then Nasir set the trays before them and welcomed them. So they ate and drank and sat in mirth and merriment, after which the trays and the platters were removed and they washed their hands. They passed the day in feasting and wine drinking and diversion and delight till nightfall, when they supped and prayed the sundown prayers, and the night orisons, after which they sat conversing and carousing, and Nasir and Mansur fell to telling stories, whilst Abdullah hearkened. Now they three were alone in the pavilion, the rest of the company being in another place, and they ceased not to tell quips and tales and rare adventures and anecdotes, till Abdullah's heart was dissolved within him for watching, and sleep overcame him. And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. End of night 988. Section 52 of the Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by phone. The Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9, by Anonymous. Translated by Richard Francis Burton. Night 989. When it was the 989th night, she pursued, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when Abdullah was awearied with watching and wanted to sleep, they also lay beside him on another couch, and waited till he was drowned in slumber, and when they were certified thereof, they arose and knelt upon him. Whereupon he awoke, and seeing them kneeling on his breast, said to them, 'What is this, O my brothers?' Cried they, 'We are no brothers of thine, nor do we know thee unmannerly that thou art. Thy death is become better than thy life.' Then they gripped him by the throat and throttled him, till he lost his senses and abode without motion, so that they deemed him dead. Now the pavilion wherein they were overlooked the river, so they cast him into the water, but when he fell,
Allah sent to his aid a dolphin, who was accustomed to come under that pavilion because the kitchen had a window that gave upon the stream; and, as often as they slaughtered any beast there, it was their wont to throw the refuse into the river, and the dolphin came and picked it up from the surface of the water, wherefore he ever resorted to the place. That day they had cast out much offal, by reason of the banquet; so the dolphin ate more than of wont and gained strength. Hearing the splash of Abdullah's fall, he hastened to the spot, where he saw a son of Adam, and Allah guided him so that he took the man on his back, and crossing the current made with him for the other bank, where he cast his burthen ashore. Now the place where the dolphin cast up Abdullah was a well-beaten highway, and presently up came a caravan, and finding him lying on the river bank, said, "Here is a drowned man, whom the river hath cast up." And the travellers gathered around to gaze at the corpse. The sheikh of the caravan was a man of worth, skilled in all sciences and versed in the mystery of medicine and withal sound of judgment, so he said to them, "O folk, what is the news?" They answered, "Here is a drowned man." Whereupon he went up to Abdullah and examining him said to them, "O folk, there is life yet in this young man, who is a person of condition and of the sons of great, bred in honour and fortune, and Inshallah there is still hope of him." Then he took him and clothing him in dry clothes warmed him before the fire, after which he nursed him and tended him 3 days' march till he revived. But he was passing feeble by reason of the shock, and the chief of the caravan proceeded to medicine him with such simples as he knew, what while they ceased not faring on till they had travelled 30 days' journey from Bassorah and came to a city in the land of the Persians, by name Abj. Here they alighted at a khan and spread Abdullah a bed, where he lay groaning all night and troubling the folk with his groans. And when morning morrowed, the concierge of the khan came to the chief of the caravan and said to him, "What is this sick man thou hast with thee? Verily, he disturbeth us." Quoth the chief, "I found him by the way on the river bank and well nigh drowned, and I have tended him, but to no effect, for he recovereth not." Said the porter, "Show him to the Shaykha Rajihah." "Who is this religious?" asked the chief of the caravan, and the doorkeeper answered, "There is with us a holy woman, a clean maid and a comely, called Rajihah, to whom they present whoso hath any ailment, and he passeth a single night in her house and awaketh on the morrow, whole and ailing nothing." Quoth the chief, "Direct me to her." Quoth the porter, "Take up thy sick man." So he took up Abdullah and the doorkeeper forewent him, till he came to a hermitage, where he saw folk entering with many an ex voto offering and other folk coming forth rejoicing. The porter went in till he came to the curtain and said, "Permission, O Shaykha Rajihah, take this sick man." Said she, "Bring him within the curtain." And the porter said to Abdullah, "Enter." So he entered and looking upon the holy woman, saw her to be his wife whom he had brought from the city of stone. And when he knew her she also knew him, and saluted him, and he returned her salam. Then said he, "Who brought thee hither?" And she answered, "When I saw that thy brothers had cast thee away and were contending concerning me, I threw myself into the sea. But my Shaykh al-Khizr Abu al-Abbas took me up and brought me to this hermitage, where he gave me leave to heal the sick and bade cry in the city, 'Whoso hath any ailment, let him repair to the Shaykha Rajihah.' And he also said to me, 'Tarry in this hermitage till the time betide, and thy husband shall come to thee here.' So all the sick used to flock to me and I rubbed them and shampooed them and they awoke on the morrow whole and sound, whereby the report of me became noised abroad among the folk, and they brought me votive gifts, so that I have with me abundant wealth. And now I live here in high honour and worship, and all the people of these parts seek my prayers." Then she rubbed him and by the ordinance of Allah the Most High he became whole. Now Al-Khizr used to come to her every Friday night, and it chanced that the day of Abdullah's coming was a Thursday. Accordingly, when the night darkened, he and she sat, after a supper of the richest meats, awaiting the coming of Al-Khizr, who made his appearance anon and carrying them forth of the hermitage, set them down in Abdullah's palace at Bassorah, where he left them and went his way. As soon as it was day, Abdullah examined the palace and knew it for his own.
Then, hearing the folk clamoring without, he looked forth of the lattice and saw his brothers crucified, each on his own cross. Now the reason of this was as ensueth. When they had thrown him into the Tigris, the twain arose on the morrow, weeping and saying, Our brother! The Jinniyah hath carried off our brother! Then they made ready a present and sent it to the Caliph, acquainting him with these tidings and suing from him the government of Bassorah. He sent for them and questioned them, and they told him the false tale we have recounted, whereupon he was exceeding wroth. So that night he prayed a 2-bow prayer before daybreak, as of his wont, and called upon the tribes of the Jinn, who came before him subject-wise, and he questioned them of Abdullah. When they sware to him that none of them had done him aught of hurt, and said, We know not what is become of him. Then came Sa'idah, daughter of the Red King, and acquainted the Caliph with the truth of Abdullah's case, and he dismissed the Jinn. On the morrow, he subjected Nasir and Mansur to the bastinado till they confessed, one against other, whereupon the Caliph was enraged with them and cried, Carry them to Bassorah and crucify them there before Abdullah's palace. Such was their case, but as regards Abdullah, when he saw his brothers crucified, he commanded to bury them, then took horse and repairing to Baghdad, acquainted the Caliph with that which his brothers had done with him, from first to last, and told him how he had recovered his wife. Whereat Al-Rashid marveled and summoning the Qazi and the witnesses, bade draw up the marriage contract between Abdullah and the damsel whom he had brought from the city of stone. So he went in to her and woned with her at Bassorah till there came to them the destroyer of delights and the severer of societies, and extolled be the perfection of the living, who dieth not. Moreover, O auspicious King, I have heard a tale anent Ma'aruf the cobbler and his wife. There dwelt once upon a time in the god-guarded city of Cairo a cobbler who lived by patching old shoes. His name was Ma'aruf, and he had a wife called Fatima, whom the folk had nicknamed the Dung, for that she was a whorish, worthless wretch, scanty of shame and mickle of mischief. She ruled her spouse and abused him, and he feared her malice and dreaded her misdoings, for that he was a sensible man, but poor conditioned. When he earned much, he spent it on her, and when he gained little, she revenged herself on his body that night, leaving him no peace and making his night black as her book, for she was even as of one like her saith the poet. How manifold nights have I passed with my wife, in the saddest plight with all misery rife. Would heaven, when I first went in to her, with a cup of cold poison I'd taken her life. One day she said to him, O Ma'aruf, I wish thee to bring me this night a vermicelli cake dressed with bees' honey. He replied, So Allah Almighty aid me to its price, I will bring it thee. By Allah, I have no dirhams today, but our Lord will make things easy. Rejoined she, and Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased to say her permitted say. End of night 989. End of The Book of the Thousand Nights and a Night, Volume 9, by Anonymous. Translated by Richard Francis Burton.